Hello everyone, welcome back to the fourth part of how to make 3D DNA in Blender. So in the previous part we talked about the different type of DNA we can make in Blender, and we also used shading, coloring, and also worked with camera and lighting. So in this lecture I am going to mostly focus on the animation part. So what I have done is I have added the background. So for the background you can go to old and add the background and the color, whatever you choose. So this is the format that you can use as a reference. However, you can change it according to your need. So let's focus on animation. So for animation, one thing we need is we need to track this DNA element. So let's add empty, and for that let's bring the 3D cursor to our center. So Shift C, it will bring it to center. Shift A, and go to empty and insert cube. Okay, and now what we can do is we can increase the cube so that we can cover all the DNA. S for scaling and X for scaling in the X direction. So let's scale in the X direction. Looks nice. Now let's scale on the Y direction, S and Y. Sorry, not on the Y direction, G direction, S and G. S and G. Okay. Let's move this one, G and G. G and G. Looks a little bigger, so we can decrease it in. We can decrease the empty, S and G. Okay. Okay, this looks good. And now we have to insert a path, and for inserting a path, let's do Shift A. Okay, let's move it to center again. Shift A, then we can go to curve and we can go to path. Now we can see a Bezier curve here, and bring this one to side and Y axis. Okay, now it is here, and let's scale it on the X axis, S and X. Right. So let's scale it a little bigger. Okay, we have scaled it, and tab for editing. And now what we can do is our animation is based on this path. Therefore, let's start it from here. G for grab, move it, and another path. Let's go from top to bottom. G for grab and move it, and same thing, G for grab and move it up. Same thing with the last point, G for grab and move it. Okay, so now our one path has gone on the other direction, so we can move it on outer side. G for grab and Y for moving on Y axis. Same thing with this one, G for grab and Y for moving in Y axis. Sorry, yeah, because our path has gone on the other side. This one, G for grab and Y for moving in Y outside. Same thing with this one, G for grab and moving in Y outside. G and outside. Okay, now our path looks good. Okay, so with Shift C, let's move the 3D cursor to the center and add empty cube. Now this cube is going to track the camera, so add a constraint and follow path, and there is only one path to follow, nums path. Okay, so if we do 0, then it goes to one end of the path, and if we do -100, it goes to the other end of the path. So this is okay, actually this is working. Now we can use it for animation. Okay, and now go back to camera, or we can rename this one. We can rename this one as camera animation empty, and the first empty we can name is DNA track empty. Okay, so now let's go back to camera. Oh, okay, add a constraint, track to constraint, and target is going to be DNA track empty. Okay, and go to camera, add another constraint, is a child of, so move this one in the front, and what we do, we set a target, and we have target is camera animation empty, so this is going to be child of this empty, so whenever this moves, the camera also moves. Okay, so now let's see if the animation is if it's working or not. So 0 for the camera view, and let's change this number if it is working. Yeah, okay, actually our animation will look like this one. So let's go to timeline. Okay, and we need to see the camera view 0. So the camera view is not good, so I'm going to change the view of the camera, and okay, sit, change this one in the center, and let's fix the camera, Control Option and 0 in Mac. Okay, so let's see how it looks like. 0, okay, 0 to -100, that's good, right? 0 to -100, okay, or even 120, okay, that's good. Now let's start the animation. For animation, go to 0 on the timeline and set this to 0. Okay, so this is going to be our first frame, and let's enter our keyframe. So we can do right click and insert keyframe, or just press I and move this cursor to the last frame. It is 250th frame, and 100, sorry, it's not going to be, it's -100, and hit I, insert keyframe. Now if we play it, then we can see the animation of the camera. You can see the cube moving on the track, and at the same time it is doing the animation also. Okay, now we have successfully animated this DNA video, and this 250 frame is going to be around 10 seconds of the video. So I'm going to render this video. So for rendering, just remember two options, eevee and cycles. Cycles is going to give you higher quality and more natural rendering. However, eevee is going to give you a lower quality, and this time I'm going to use eevee because this will take less time. And go back to the file format, and we can choose FFmpeg video, low quality, and also change your destination. I'm going to use this one. Okay, now we're ready to render. It might take like 10, 15, 20 minutes. So I'm going to pause the video and start after this one. So go back to render and let's see everything looks right. So render animation. Okay, so now we have successfully rendered this video in eevee rendering. So there are 250 frames and one frame took 5 seconds, 5.56 seconds. So that is around 20 to 25 minutes for total 250 frames. So that's a lot of time of rendering. If I had done cycle rendering, then it would take at least 1 or 2 hours. Okay. So our animation is finally done. And one thing we can do is we can add some like modification in the DNA. So if you click the DNA, go to modifier property, and we can add one modifier, wave modifier. So now you can see how it looks like, right? So we can add this wave modifier to all of the DNA, and let's see how it looks like. Wave modifier, wave, and we can change the modifier also. I'm going to show that one. Wave modifier, wave modifier, and wave modifier. Let's play it. So our DNA looks like this one. However, we can change this one. Let's see how we can change. Go to modifier, wave modifier, and you can decrease the height, right? You can increase or decrease the height, and you can increase or decrease the width. And width, and same thing with the narrowness. Okay. So you can play around to see how you wanna modify this one. So this looks different than the other one, so it looks better. So you can modify all of them accordingly. So this was our video that we rendered previously. So let's see how it looks like. So there is no movement on the DNA. So what we did was we added some movement by using the wave modifier. So let's go back to Blender and see. 0 for the view, and so this is going to be the animation after we added that wave modification. So overall it looks very good, and we have successfully animated the DNA with that we started like 3 or 4 lectures back. So it took us 5 lectures to do this DNA animation, and I hope you have learned how to make the DNA structure, do the shading, work with the lighting, working with the camera, and also finally with the animation and exporting the animation. I hope you like this animation, and if you like this one, please subscribe to my channel, like and comment my content, and let me know what I should improve and how we can make it better. And also tell me like if I need to animate any of the special cell organelle. Thank you so much, and see you in next video.